into the recording in progress. That's good. So, yes. What is the Processing Foundation Software Development Grant? Yeah, well, I've already mentioned that. It is a new mentorship initiative by the Processing Foundation that will support the professional growth of early to mid-career developers through hands-on involvement in open source projects, namely processing P5 and the P5 editor. The participation in the program is entirely online, so you can participate wherever you are in the world, and we encourage people from any part of the world to please apply. Next slide. Who's eligible? Well, yeah, early to mid-career coders, developers, software engineers, computer scientists, anyone interested in professional mentorship and the opportunity to collaborate and learn with a cohort of like-minded peers. And yeah, welcome applicants from all backgrounds, regardless of geographical location. So here are the projects that we have put together for this grant. The first is simplifying the workflow for processing libraries, tools, and modes. This is part of a global modernization transition effort for processing to make it more inviting for contributors. And we're focusing in this particular project on what is appearing in, if you've ever open processing in the contributions manager. So libraries, tools, and modes are ways that people can create third-party software for processing that runs inside of processing. So you can install libraries from the contribution manager or tools that modify the behavior of the editor, and modes that let you use different languages such as GLSL, like shader, Python. You can code P5.js within the processing editor as well, and all those are modes. But the way to contribute those tools and modes and libraries hasn't been particularly flexible or easy for newcomers. It's a legacy system that we've had for a long time. You need to send an email to some obscure email address, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with right now. And whoever is managing that has to edit a text file on the GitHub and wait for a script to run. It's not great. And so we want to make this a more coherent and inviting system that includes a little bit of updates in the documentation. And yeah, you will see in the project list that is in the chat. You can see what skills. Definitely invite you to look at the project list itself, because it has more information, the list of skills that are expected, and the deliverable for each of the projects. Let's go to the next one. So yeah, this is just a very surface overview. Create an official processing VS Code extension. That should be pretty self-explanatory, but there are some specifics to look at on the project list. This is an exciting one. There's been in processing 4.1, yeah, it's written there. In processing 4.1, we have added support for language server protocol. This is in an effort to modularize processing so that it can also be usable in other editors, but you still need a client for a language server. So this would be the work to develop a client for the language server protocol that is inside processing, potentially also look at what is missing from that language server protocol implementation if necessary. So this is a pretty interesting project because it involves both some JavaScript or TypeScript work on the VS Code side and potentially some Java work on the processing side, as well as some thinking about user experience of that Visual Studio Code extension. Next up is the collaborative desktop editor for processing. This is the idea of developing an iterative proof of concept prototype, proof of concept / prototype for a desktop editor for processing that would be made in Electron and support collaborative editing. So it's not meant to be like a fully featured Electron version of the PDE, but more a research project and early prototype to see what can be done within an Electron context. This is also related to two of the other projects, the VS Code one, in the sense that it would also rely on the language server protocol, and the project for the editor that I will let Rachel explain later, because the collaborative editing would be something related to the particular editor library that the P5 editor is also using. But I don't want to spoil the last one. Okay, Q, if you're ready, this is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chen Chen. I also go by Q. I'm the P5JS project lead. So I lead the software and the community of P5JS. So you might see me on the GitHub repo of P5JS library and the P5JS website. So the project we have for the PROS 2024 is revamp the friendly error system for P5JS 2.0. So the P5JS FES, which stands for friendly error system, enhances the development and the debugging experience in P5 with friendly error messages. With upcoming P5 2.0 release, significant updates are required to align FES with the new system architecture. So if you have been to the P5 library GitHub repo recently, you might see we have a lot of P5 2.0 proposals. And FES is one of the core features we'd like to update for the upcoming 2.0 release. We are still working on the overall timeline for the 2.0 release, but we want to make sure that friendly error system is at the forefront when we are thinking about the future of P5 2.0. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, next is Rachel, and I see your messages saying that the audio might be fuzzy, but it's not for everyone. So maybe try to refresh the Zoom call, and we'll move on to the next slide. Sorry, we're already on the next slide. Yes, Rachel, floor is yours.
Okay, I'm Rachel. I'm currently the lead for the P5 editor project, and the project that we're currently hoping to work on for this grant is to upgrade CodeMirror, which is the library that Raphael was leading up to earlier. And CodeMirror is basically the library that we use as a major component of our current text editor. So if you go to the editor and go on I guess the left side or the place where you type in the text, that's basically all done by CodeMirror. We want to upgrade it from the current version, which is version 5, to the new one, version 6, which has a lot of enhanced features for accessibility, mobile support, internationalization, and other types of editor features I guess things like styling, adding brackets and things like that. But you can discuss more of that as the project goes on what you want to potentially include. But along with this upgrade, this also requires a lot of refactoring for a lot of the related components, and also just testing to make sure that a lot of it is updated on accessibility. So some of the expected outcomes might be, for example, refactoring the editor component itself from a previous version of a class to a functional component, as long as upgrading CodeMirror, and also just doing a lot of testing afterwards and making sure that it's usable for the community.
Thanks. And finally, we have what we call Wildcard projects, which is if you have a unique project idea that you think aligns with the objectives of the PROS program, that is to support the expansion of the solidification and expansion of the foundations of processing P5 and the P5 editor. You're also invited to submit a proposal. We're curious to see what maybe you have in mind, but please do keep in mind that this is something that we're curious to see, but also we will prioritize the projects that are already listed above, and we only have those 5 grants. So there's yeah. If a wildcard project is actually taken, then that means that one of the others will have to go. Not the P5 ones. We have 3 from processing, and there's one that I already have in mind that might drop out. Just so you know. But yeah, that would take some really exceptional proposal for us to decide to do that. And yeah, there's no guarantee that a wildcard proposal will be selected, so please be mindful of that. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say about wildcard projects. Next slides. All right, so now Q&A. How do I apply? You can go to processingfoundation.org/grants and you follow the link to our application form. Be sure to send the application before the deadline, and also be sure to read the frequently asked questions and the documentation that is on both the website and also on GitHub. Yes, next slide. What is the selection process for the PROS program? So we will thoroughly review your applications, the team and a panel of external reviewers. Then based on this evaluation, we will invite semi-finalists to join interviews on the week of June 17th. The evaluation is based on the applicant's proposed project and its alignment with the foundation's mission and potential impact on the community, as well as suitability for the project in particular, of course. Next, grant recipients. Yeah, what benefits? Grant recipients will receive $10,000 stipend, mentorship, public-facing opportunities to showcase their work. They also gain access to the Processing Foundation's network of developers, artists, designers, activists, educators, engineers, researchers, and collectives to collaborate and exchange during and after the completion of the project. There will also be, I forgot to mention that, but yeah, Tsige mentioned the town hall sessions. These will be sessions that will happen once a month, so there will be 4 of them, on topics related to open source and software, things that are not directly related to the coding itself, but the frameworks and the environment in which coding happens. That includes things like governance, community building, accessibility, and other things that are not strictly technical but are essential when you're expected to become leaders in software and potentially open source as well. Yes, let's see the next slide. How long is the program? So in 2024, the program will run from July 1st to October 31st. So that's 4 months. And during that time, you're expected to spend 200 hours on your projects, including participating in mentorship sessions, town halls, and cohort check-ins. So there are these town halls that we share with the fellowship, but there will also be cohort check-ins specific with the pros cohort. Next, can I apply as a team or a collective? Oh, wait, I should have, no, I updated, sorry, skip this one. No, so this is a program for individual developers. I thought I updated that slide. That was from the fellowship. I apologize. So yeah, this is a one-on-one mentorship program. And so though in the fellowship program, we do accept collectives, in this particular program, we really want to focus on the relationship between a developer and a mentor and their vision on the project. So this is individual geared grant program. We want to invest in you and your career and your development as a person and as a developer. So can I apply if I'm not based in the United States? Yes. Well, I can read the whole thing, but that's the that's the short of it. Yes, you can. Where can I find more information? You can visit our social media, processing.org on Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. You can visit the processingfoundation.org website, and you can send an email to grant without an S at processingfoundation.org. Yeah, Q&A. So if you have questions after we covered those basic ones, please type them in the Q&A panel at the bottom of the Zoom call. There should be a button that you can press, and then you can type your question. So yeah, we'll take questions now. Is there anything that any of you, Q, Rachel, Tsige, or Sonia, wanted to say that we haven't had a chance to cover so far? Otherwise, we'll just wait for questions to come in. Can anyone write questions, or do you have access to the Q&A? Just making sure, so I don't see anything yet come in.
I got access to them. If they come in, I'll.
Oh, you do. You do. Okay, maybe I don't see them because I'm not a host.
I could make you host right now.
You cannot find the button. Yeah, maybe make me a host and I can check. Okay, good. Q&A. No, there are questions. So you cannot find the button either. So hover over the call, and at the bottom you should see a button with 2 speech bubble. It's between participants and chat. Left of chat, right of participants. There's Q&A, and yeah. So, can we apply for more than one project? No, pick one. Next question. If I have previous open source experience, can I apply? Absolutely. It's not a program for first-time contributors. It's not like GSOC, Google Summer of Code. So this is for early to mid-career developers. So some experience is actually a plus. We want people who have some skill already, who want to get more skill. Through their contributions. Are first-year students eligible to apply? Well, I mean, based on the previous answer, you should make a call. You are eligible to apply, but you have to make a case for yourself why you're the right person for the project, which is one of the questions that we ask in the application. And at any time, by the way, Q or Rachel, feel free to chime in from your perspective, from your projects as well. The next question is, how closely will we be working with the mentors, and what will be the nature of the relationship be? Is it more general guidance, or will it be more collaborative? It's more guidance. They will provide code review, but that relationship can also be established to some extent by you at the beginning of the project. We demand that you have a meeting on the first week to define how often you want to check in and which kind of collaboration tools and modalities you want to apply to the project. But yes, you need to have regular check-ins. The mentors will also be the ones evaluating your contribution, your project, at the midpoint and the end of the program. Are there different levels of skills for the projects, beginner to advanced? Not explicitly, but you can read the projects and make that judgment for yourself, I think. They are all, I would say they're all kind of in the same ballpark. We try not to make them like too incredibly advanced, but they do require some level of skill. I have bootcamp experience. Is that okay? Well, same answer as first year. I think everyone can be at different stages of their journey based on other factors than just what kind of education they received. So it's hard for me to answer that. I think that will vary depending on your individual situation. So read the projects, read the skills required, read what the expected outcomes are, and make a judgment call for yourself will be my answer for that. And that's the final question for now. Creating a dedicated proposal and demo. No, there's a new one that just came out. Creating a dedicated proposal and demo around the project will help the application ? Is not, we haven't required a demo. A dedicated proposal, I'm not sure what you mean by that, like a separate document. This is not something we're asking for. I think for now, you can look at the questions that are in the application form and just answer to that. I don't think that we will penalize anyone for not including a demo. But yeah, I think I would say stick to the questions for now. There will be the interview later. I have quite a few years working on software development and 4 years working in open source. Would I be considered too advanced to apply for this grant? No, I don't think so. As I said, early to mid-career developers. So I think a few years sounds perfect. How strict are the desired skills for the project? For example, if I have most, yes, that is okay. I think that is, there are some interesting studies about who chooses to apply when they have part of the skills and who doesn't. This is part of what causes certain biases in the population in tech. So yeah, don't feel like you need to check every single box. Make the best case for yourself that you can. Yeah, this list of skills, I think anyone who has some experience in some areas of tech, some of that is transferable. So I think that, yeah, make that case for yourself. So there are people who still want to ask questions and can't find the Q&A. Did you find it? I don't see your question there. So maybe ask the question in the chat. I didn't want to say that, but if people are really struggling to find it, but you can find the chat, please ask your question in the chat and I'll read it from there. Again, I didn't really leave any room for anyone to chime in. So Q, Rachel, did you want to add anything, or Tsige or Sonia, to what my answers were so far?
Yeah, because I can actually see what's going on in Q&A at all. So I'm just gonna chime in for some P5 project related information. So if you're interested in applying for the P5 FES project, please make sure to read the very detailed project description in the GitHub wiki page. We included a prior work and recommended rating that's about the FES intro doc, FES contribution guide, as well as contributor guideline and steward guideline. With that information that included there, we hope that really provides you a lot of context and the foundation for the application. So please, we highly recommend you to read that documentation that's included in GitHub wiki page. And for the folks who are interested in applying for P5, we will definitely check your previous experience with P5 to see like, oh, if you have contributed to P5 before in different ways. Previously, if you contributed to translation, I think that's a big plus. If you contribute to the code base, that's a big plus. If you contribute your organizing events, that's a plus as well. So, but if you've never contributed to P5, we'll check your previous experience with other open source software involvement. Because for this project for FES, we think this is a better fit for someone who has some software development experience or has done a certain amount of open source contribution before. I just want to add that. So when you are preparing for your application, please make sure you read that recommended rating in the GitHub wiki.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. And I think that applies to a large extent to the other projects, even though they don't have that detailed description. Yes, there are some skill requirements. And so, yeah, with some existing skill and experience will help. And somebody was asking, having previous contributing experience with processing projects help. So yes, that would apply to processing, and I would assume to the P5 editor as well. If you have experience with those projects, that is definitely a plus, because that means you, yeah, it will take you less time to familiarize yourself with the code base. I see other questions that came in the meantime. Can you describe a day of work as a contributor of a project? No, I think every project is quite different, and we do have a question in the application forum about how you think you will manage your time. We expect you to be able to do that. So people will not tell you what to do. Your mentor will not tell you what to do. They are there to guide you, but you need to have some independence on how you want to run the project. Obviously, in collaboration with or at least in communication with the maintainers of the project, and with communication with your mentor. But yeah, you should be somewhat self-reliant for how you want to manage your time and the project. If accepted, will it be possible to accommodate the grant mentorship and working hours for personal teaching working schedule? Well, that's something, Aubrey, that you would have to answer in the forum when we ask how you plan to manage your time with the grant alongside your existing other commitments. Multiple projects are interesting to me. Should I decide on one? Yes, you should decide on one project to apply. I'm sorry that all the projects are so interesting. Okay, did we have any questions in the chat? No, I don't see any. Anybody had any other questions that we haven't covered already? Because I think we covered everyone's question. If you have questions that come later, like we end the call and you're like, I wanted to ask this, I just couldn't find how to phrase it. Then yeah, please write to grant@processingfoundation.org. You can write your questions. We will have a second info session on the 20th of May, closer to the end, closer to the deadline. So if you have questions that come up while you're looking at the questions on the forum, or you're putting your application together and you're like, oh, actually, we didn't cover this during the info session, well, try to send those questions before the 20th so we can add them to the list. And I would also add them to the frequently asked questions if they are potentially relevant for others. One thing I should mention is one question you should not send us is, should I apply with an idea? Like, is this idea good for applying? We won't be able to provide individual guidance on your application or putting your application together. So please just apply, and we will review your application like every other application. That is the proper way to do that.
To add on top of that, if you feel hesitant of applying for any of the project, we highly recommend you to apply, because in the process of applying, you might clear a lot of doubts or questions you might have. And we often find the application process is such a good way to connect with community member as well. So if something happens that you might not be selected in this role, your information is in our database. So we might be able to reach out to you when a good opportunity occurs in the future. So we always highly recommend you to apply, even you might have hesitations or doubts. Just to add on that.
That's a fantastic point. Thank you, Q. I see my question about the video in the application in the Q&A. Okay, let me see. Yeah, it came in. Does it make a bit difference if we send the application with a video or not? This is mostly an accessibility feature. You don't need to include it if you already answered the question by text. So no, that doesn't make a difference. It's just an accommodation for people who may not be able to write the application as text. Yeah, we believe in you. Yeah, wonderful. Is anything else? Any other questions in? Otherwise, I think we'll just end this early. We answered all the questions. Anything anyone wanted to say that they didn't have a chance to say? Good luck, everybody. That's the most important thing. Yeah, please woo us with your incredible submissions, applications, whether it's for the existing project list or for Wildcard. We'll be back on the 20th with another info session. It will also be a Monday, same time. And yeah, I'm really excited to see all your applications come in. Would you maybe like to expand a little on the selection criteria? Well, that's a good one. Let me see. There is something. I need to bring up a specific page. Just give me a second. I have a bullet point.
I was preparing for that. Maybe I can share a little bit about
Yeah, go ahead.
Part of the foundation selection criteria for the P5 project. We had a very strong focus on access. In 2016, we decided that the P5 project will not accept any new features except those ones to increase access, which means accessibility and inclusion. So for a very important part of this access initiative is that we want to make sure the P5 software, P5 community is accessible for folks, especially for folks who are more marginalized in the open source community. And so if you have doubts about if you should apply, we highly recommend you do so, because often I feel like as someone who are more marginalized in this space, I doubt myself all the time. But because of the doubt, I think I should apply for things. So I'm not saying this as selection criteria, but I just want to share that as someone who went through the application process in the foundation before. And also in your application, we'd like to see how you feel about this project and access while we review the application, we'll see that how you'd like to elaborate that. Because FPS is one of our core access feature as well. Hope Ralph has found your selection material.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that you mentioned that, and that's yeah, that is definitely very important. please apply, even if you have doubts about any of the selection criteria. Yeah, those shouldn't be a reason not to apply, but they should just help you make your application even more convincing. So yeah, I think like your application should show an understanding of the project, and if there are questions, and there should be questions, there is a field in the form where you can ask us question about the project. And I think what's missing from the project descriptions is like your understanding of what's missing from the project description also comes from your expertise. It's not because you didn't understand necessarily. It's maybe because you understood that something is not quite completely there. And that's part of what we want to see from you as well, is like really your reasoning, how you understand this brief, and where you want to take it. And I think, yeah, relevant skills or experience to the project is of course a good thing, but even more important is you showing that you have the right mindset and understanding to take on that project, and why you're the right person for it. So yeah, if you haven't looked at the form yet, I recommend you do that, because I think the questions are quite self-explanatory, because they are the selection criteria, and they're pretty simple, but they should help us also like suss out who has taken the time to read the description, who has familiarized themselves with the projects and their particular challenges. So yeah, do those things if you can, and that will only make your application stronger. Yeah. Sure. Happy to answer that. Yeah, again, feel free to send your questions to grant@processingfoundation.org if you have some that come later. We may not be able to answer your questions directly by email, but we will answer them in the next the next Q&A, next info session on the 20th. Yeah, again, very excited to see your submissions. Super happy to see some familiar names in the the list. Not that that gives you any advantage on the people we don't know yet, but it's just nice to see. Yeah, that's it, I think, right? Thanks, Sige, for running the presentation. Thanks, Q, Rachel, and Sonia for being there and also sharing your insights. Any last words from our team? Then, all right. Thanks, everybody. Good luck. And we'll see you again on the 20th.
Thank you.
Bye. And Q and Rachel, if you can stick around, just have a few things we wanted to talk about very briefly. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Right.
Oh, I think we could
Yeah, I'll no. Oh, wait. No, I don't want to report people. I just want to
Oh.
remove people. Remove, not report, just remove. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, AFK people. Yes, thanks for sticking around. Just
Should
wanted.
we stop recording?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stop. Oh, I'm the one who can stop. Are you sure you want to stop?